that election is coming up. And like we've been promising you right here on Kivumbi 2017, we will be introducing our super panel to analyze every detail, every angle, every perspective of this election right here from our election HQ here at KTN News. And Joe Ageo is standing by with that super panel. Joe, who do you have with us tonight?
All right, thank you very much, Yvonne. Yes, as you said, a super panel here. And I'll start from right next to me. Joy Brenda Mudivo is not a strange name on KTN News, and she's part of the panel tonight. Advocate and political analyst Kamodo Waiganjo, another advocate and also a political analyst. Felix Owor, who is an expert in election matters, will be telling us a lot about the elections tonight. Barak Muluka, I don't know whether I should call you a dreamer or what do you want me to call you? And a seer. All right, Barak Muluka, thank you very much. Dr. Alex Awiti, also not a stranger here, and of course, Martin Olo. And ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting evening here. And interesting, I use here because it is a sad evening where there have been very many things going on. Martin, what do you make of what's happening in the country? Some people say a very sad sequence of events from the Sugoi thing and now Chris Msando.
I think that we do have occurrences that increase rather than reduce tension and anxiety. And so what we need over the next couple of days is really an IBC and everybody else who is not in the thick of things trying to reassure us as Kenyans that it's well. So, of course, unfortunately, we have a life lost of a member of IBC, and that is something that will occupy us for a while. Unfortunately, we have an insecurity incident in Sugoi, and everything around it doesn't look like it's what you want to see at a time like this. And it seems to throw us in a bit of anxiety, and that needs to be settled.
And we'll come to that in a moment. Kamodo Waiganjo, what are your thoughts?
First, Joe, is to recognize that while we analyze and look at this issue, there's a family that's hurting and has lost a child. Mm-hmm. There is somebody who's lost a brother, you know, an uncle, a son, a child. And I think our hearts must first go out to them before we even talk about the political consequences of this act. That's number one. Number two is to say that it's unfortunate in that context that we are already starting to try and harvest political capital out of this in some way or the other. I think we need to give this situation just a day or so to let the family mourn their child. But number three, and I think that's one of my carryovers from this issue, is that the direct ICT had no security. That shocks me, you know, and especially if it is true that he had complained and complained to the police, and the fact that we're still traveling around without security, that absolutely terrifies me.
And given how important ICT
is in this election. So for me, that's more worrying than about who did what. But just the fact that he was, even if it was just a common criminal act, it would be very unfortunate if that gentleman traveled around without security, or anyone at that level.
Felix?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a very sad day. This is somebody that I knew and worked with very, very closely. I remember interviewing him and having an honest discussion with him on the significance of technology in elections. Of course, my sincere condolences to his family. I agree with Kamoto. It's a sad day. It's a mourning period. And we really need to condole with it.
What exactly was his work, for people who may not appreciate it?
He was the director or the manager in charge of technology. And if there was one person who clearly understood that the 2017 elections in this country, we needed to have working and functional technology, then it was Chris. He had a total faith and total confidence, and he gave it its best. He reassured the country to trust him and trust the IEBC that this time around technology will work. 2017 is predicated around technology, and there are, of course, many question marks.
And we'll be trying to understand that technology in the next hour. Joy Brenda, a very sad, dramatic state of affairs, 7 days to an election.
In fact, there's only one response to this: totally unacceptable. In a civilized society, to get to a place where we imagine that by any means necessary is still something that should be on the table, Totally unacceptable. And I don't care which side of the political divide you're on. This is something we should roundly condemn, give the police all our support to make sure that we get to the bottom of this. But I echo also what the others have said before me. When we know people are critical to this process, they should get, we are so quick to give the, security to waheshimiwa. What about the men and women who are laying their lives on the line, trying to make this thing work for Kenya? It's about time we evaluate and see that every life is worth defending, is worth protecting. But over and above that, one thing that I would hope as a nation that we would learn, especially as Kenyans, is we would see that there are some people who may be behind the scenes, but are a critical part of this entire process. And let us lend them the support that we can. If you see something suspicious, I mean, we're making fun of his car has been found, I don't know where. People should have realized by then this might be a crime scene. So I hope Kenyans also are alive to the fact that we need to be more aware, have some special awareness during this time especially.
But Barak, you would understand the kind of anxiety and the conversations that are going on, even at the political level, given how important ICT is, given the conspiracy theories that we've been hearing, and a week to the general election.
Yes, first to associate myself, of course, with feelings of desolation, of condolence, and recognize that the family is in mourning. But beyond that, to acknowledge that this has happened, it's a reality that is here. And I think that we should not begin censoring ourselves and start saying, and I want to disagree with my good friend Kamodo Waiganjo, that if we are going to comment on this, that we are mining political capital out of this. This is somebody who was involved in a process with a very significant...
Okay, you'll have a lot of time to disagree with him, because I want Alex to have one last word on this before we take it back to Yvonne, because we'll be coming back for a fuller discussion on this. Dr. Awiti, please.
I think first I would like to say this is the worst weekend that any country would wish, just 7 days before an election. The Independent Electoral Boundaries and Election Commission is staggered by this grief, and the nation is mourning. I think what is completely beyond our understanding is how this could have happened when reports had been made to the police about threats that the police themselves say were related to his function as the manager of ICT at the Electoral Commission. How were we blindsided? And wasn't anybody taking any notice, or didn't he shout loud enough? But I think it's truly shameful that, and as Butai Ngunyi said, these things just don't happen. You don't lose the Minister for Interior just ahead of an election. You don't lose a critical piece of this very critical election just 6 days before an election. So I think heads must roll, and the country must demand answers.
All right, we'll be getting deeper into this conversation, and obviously the entire conversation about how prepared are we, and in light of what has happened, what to do from here. I'll be getting back to this in a moment, but first to Yvonne. Yvonne, back to you.
Great, thank you very much. Knowledgeable, well-versed, experienced. That is our super panel. You can join us here tonight and every night. We'll definitely be giving you perspective on all of these issues surrounding the 2017 general election that is now just 7 days away. You're watching Kivumbi 2017. We want to bring you more news.